guys, this is Mike and this will be a mini review of the GUILD M-120 NAT Westerly, right? And also this is video number 8 in my series of mini reviews of, Western guitars with a mahogany top or even better, a mahogany body. Right, so after I'm done with all of these mini reviews, I plan to do a couple of comparison videos depending on the guitar, body sizes basically. And the last video in this series will be a huge shootout with, 15 guitars tested, with a lot of sound comparison samples, with my final opinion, my final verdict on each and every one of these guitars, right? What I like, what I don't like about them. And also as a special treat, I will, rank them from worst to best, right? So if you are interested in these types of guitars, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. Okay, but let's talk about the guitar at hand. So as I mentioned, this is the GUILD M-120 NAT Westerly. And we have a top that is made out of solid mahogany. We have back and sides that are made out of solid mahogany. The neck is mahogany. The only tone wood that's not mahogany, I guess, is the fretboard that is made out of rosewood, right? We do have this glossy finish on the guitar, right? As you can see. Now, some people like that, some people don't. In my opinion, a glossy finish always looks nice, and I guess it protects the wood underneath, right? Better than like a satin finish. But you do see all dust, you do see fingerprints, right? So basically, you just have to like it. My opinion is I would rather have a guitar that has, like the Taylors that I'm going to test in a couple of weeks, they do have this porous surface where you can actually feel the wood grain, right? So I absolutely love that. You don't see any fingerprints on there, no grease, no nothing, right? So personally, I prefer that, but it is what it is, right? The guitar only comes with this glossy finish and it's still beautiful in my opinion, right? You do see a lot of dust though, right? You do see a lot of dust. So if you have like a dust allergy or just OCD, good old plain OCD, that might be an issue. 20 frets, no preamp, no tuner, no nothing. But we do have a premium gig bag and I want to show you that quickly. And what is cool about this gig bag is that it's actually not your standard soft cloth gig bag, right? Like on the first Harley Benton that we tested, but it's actually pretty strong. It's reinforced, right? You can actually feel that this is pretty rigid, pretty solid, right? There's definitely some inlays, some reinforcing material, so that is pretty cool. If you like your guitar, this is the standard that I would suggest in using for a good guitar, right? So yeah, very much like this premium gig bag. And let's go back to the guitar. How about those special effects, huh? Wow. Let's go back to the guitar. What can I tell you about the build quality? So, as usual, I looked long and hard and I can see dust everywhere. No, I looked long and hard. And to be completely honest, this is a beautiful instrument, right? It, as far as I can tell, is perfectly made, right? Although it's made in China, right? It's perfectly made. The only thing that one could criticize is actually that this joint here, that you can clearly see where the two pieces of wood are connected, right? So that's not the most beautiful thing in the world, but on the other side, it's on the back of the neck of the headstock, and you don't spend your time looking at the headstock, right? Other than that, it's just a beauty. The bindings, the dots, the inlays, everything looks perfect, right? There's nothing here that I could criticize, and I would tell you, speaking of which, there is one thing that I will criticize, and that, unfortunately, is the factory setup. And that's because up until now, we are at video number 8. This guitar has the worst factory setup of all the guitars. The GUILD Traveler had fret noise, right, on selected frets, so that wasn't great either. But this guitar has very high string action. Very high string action. Of course, you won't see that now, right? You just have to trust me on that, basically. And it's not a biggie, of course. Most people that buy a new guitar will have it set up the way they like them anyway, but I'm just going to tell you, right? So if I were to rate these guitars in these categories, in the factory setup category, I think I would give it 4 out of 5 stars. And the reason for that is the high string action, but we don't have any fret noise, right? Not even on the 3rd fret, which the Guild Traveler suffered from on the 3rd fret, right? No fret noise whatsoever. Because this is a bigger body, actually there isn't a lot of fret noise even when you hit the strings hard, so that is great as well. But of course the playability suffers because of the higher string action, right? It's totally usable, right? And again, when you buy a new guitar, usually you set it up the way you like it, but out of the box, the playability is great, but it's not perfect, right? So again, I would rate this guitar 4 stars in the playability, right? The sound, I will tell you that much, and I guess you won't hear it in this video because you don't have the comparison to other guitars, so you have to wait a couple of weeks for that. But I will tell you about the sound. I really like it. I have the feeling, out of all the guitars that I tested up until now, this one has the deepest, just the bass heaviest sound out of all of them, right? It sounds really solid. There's this great bass that keeps everything together, and I really like that, right? So that is great. And you know what? Let me actually mic this guitar up properly, and yeah, I'll show you how it sounds. Here we go. Okay guys, so my plan in these videos is to be honest, and honestly I do have some issues here. So first of all, the neck shape, we didn't talk about that, but the neck shape is actually pretty thick, right? And I could definitely feel that, basically, right? It's definitely the thickest neck shape out of all the guitars that I have bought for these videos, right? So that's surprising. Also, the lacquer doesn't help at all. That's, I always feel the resistance. That's basically something that you have to take into consideration. Personally, I'm not a fan of the neck shape and I'm not a fan of the lacquer. Let me try something else actually. No, I'm sorry to say that, but personally, I'm just stating my opinion, right? Personally, I'm not a fan of this guitar, simply for the fact, simply for playability reasons, basically, right? The neck feels too thick for me, and the lacquer doesn't help. The sound I actually like very much, right? It's very trebly. Not a lot of mids there, but a lot of bass. The bass delivers this huge foundation, right? Also, what I noticed is that this guitar doesn't break up as much as I feared it would when I hit it pretty hard. And I did hit it pretty hard, right? So that's great also. The shape would be actually pretty perfect for me. I complained on the Harley Benton Dreadnought that it was too big. So this shape would actually be like my favorite shape for a guitar, right? Perfect size, but unfortunately, yeah, the heavy lacquer just isn't for me, basically, right? It could be for you, right? I'm just stating my opinion. You are a totally different, independent being, a sentient being, I hope so. And yeah, that was basically my opinion. If you know this guitar, let me know in the comment section why I'm basically totally wrong. But in my opinion, you know, great effort by GUILD, but not the guitar for me. It is a beautiful instrument if you look at it, actually, right? Now you can actually see the wood grain. That's really nice here. But yeah, it's not for me. Guys, I hope you like this video still. And leave a comment, like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. You can also always leave a super like. You can also support my Patreon. And yeah, that's basically it for today. Have a good one. See you next time. Bye. With 2 eyes.